What you bargained for a few some odd years ago, is she starting to sound a whole lot like this?
Turn that race off. Take out the garbage. Change my oil. Mow the yard. Why you gotta go fishing so much? Sell that pickup. Quit drinking so much beer. Spend some time with me. Do I look fat? Buy me a ring. Buy me a blouse.
Well, friends, we can solve every one of your problems right here at JD's 24-hour drive-through pawn and gun auto parts, pharmaceutical, adult gift, bait and tackle discount.
Ladies and fine gentlemen, we have a special announcement brought to you by the Daffy Duck Investment Group, the Corny Links Firecracker Outfit, Tim Korn from the Navy Hill Light Communion, and the OCC. A $12 million welfare check from the taxpayers. The new pump and dump economic magnet at Exit 1. This will bring home. This will end it all. No more wrong bacon forever. Because in the future, we're not going to be able to afford bacon. Here it is, folks. You heard it right here first at LTO. And that's how you start a show. Good evening, everyone. Welcome in. It is officially 7:01 Thursday evening, and it is time for a swell of a show tonight. Yerba is out of focus, by the way. He's looking strange. Yeah, you're out of focus. Get up in the I think you broke your camera. Those hater blockers are really working well tonight.
It'll adjust. There, how's
Okay,
that?
there you go. Want to say good evening to Kathy in the bottom of the frame. Wave, Kathy. Yep, Kathy there. And over to my left, studios, we're going to have to enlarge. We're going to have to increase. We've got the other dynamic duo that's bringing you top-notch news all across Oconee County. Ladies and gentlemen, for more of the story, it is Luke and Jennifer Moore. Yay! And the OCC goes wild. Mm-hmm. Well, folks, welcome in. It is a Thursday, and we're glad to have them. Rainey, we have no idea where he's at. We heard that he went to Fuji, and then from there he took off somewhere, and we don't know where he's at, so we don't even know if we're going to hear from him tonight. But we have a wonderful show to get to, and guess what we're going to talk about tonight, everybody? Place your bets. Sewer South! And we're going to talk about cardiac events, too. It's very important.
That's very important.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. First of all, our first up story tonight is one that has created more traffic on Let's Talk Oconee in the last 24, 48 hours. And it is the news story concerning the individual that has been charged with third-degree assault with intent to commit criminal sexual conduct. And that happened in the parking lot of Applewood Shopping Center. As we have read the incident report that happened Tuesday. And, of course, the report said the woman told deputies she went into the store to buy groceries and noticed a man was following her around the store. Now, she checked out of the store and was putting her groceries in the car and said the same man was following her to the car, adding her 3 children. And that's where it gets interesting. The 3 children were in the car waiting for her, according to the report. The individual was identified as 18-year-old Demara Rogers of Easter Lane. And as we go through, apparently in the report, Rogers told her he was hungry. She gave him some grapes, but she said Rogers looked around, threw the grapes down, shoved her up against the vehicle, and was trying to pull her pants down, according to the report. She screamed for help, and people in the parking lot heard the screaming, saw what was happening, and came to the scene, stopping the suspect and calling 911, according to the reports. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's something weird and something off about this story. I don't know what it is. I can't quite I don't know if we've got all of the information on this story, but if that is true, the way that the report is, that young man is pretty brave at 4:30 in the afternoon to commit a sexual assault in the middle of a parking lot.
No drugs or anything?
They didn't. That was all that was a part of the report. Now, we've heard, and Kathy, you can back me up on this, we've seen reports that there may be some other issues involved with the young gentleman. We don't know that for a fact, but we've had conversations with some folks that said that there's another issue going on. Have you seen those comments too?
Yeah, I saw a couple of comments. Well, I think it was 3 different individuals say that he had possibly some cognitive impairments and maybe that he was disabled. So, and then the conversation actually transpired on our page that possibly he was functioning at a much younger level than 18, and that he probably couldn't appreciate what he had done or understand what he had done.
Hmm.
So if that's the case, I would say there's a lot to unwrap right there if that's the case. And that would explain why he might do something like that in broad daylight in the middle of the afternoon in a parking lot full of people, because there is never a time that Aldi is not full of people.
I know. I mean, in the best case scenario, not taking sides or anything, I would hope that that would be the case, because I would hate to think that this young man who potentially already started throwing his life away, I hope that there's something else going on.
Yeah.
That would be the best case scenario. Look, that there's something going on with this individual. He needs some help. But if that's not the case and he committed this act in broad daylight, I'm very, very scared for the community in which we live in.
There's a lot of stuff that's been going on in that.
I mean, there is a lot of stuff.
lately.
I mean, seriously, lately, and Jennifer's right. There is a lot of things. This isn't the first time that we've had something like this. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was a report floating around, and it was confirmed that we had a purse snatching that took place up there at Applewood Shopping Center. So those are some things that are kind of.
I think that was in Aldi's.
It was coming out of. It was in the Aldi's parking lot, exactly. So that's kind of got me a little bit, wait a minute here, what is going on? So I hope for the case of the young gentleman that there's an ulterior motive, something else is wrong here. And if that's the case, it's going to have to go through the legal proceedings now. He's innocent until proven guilty. But the point of it is, I hope that's the case, because if it's not, we need to start taking a look at something else is going on. And we've already had this conversation before. It's getting worse and within the school system itself with these kids. I mean, my gosh, take a look at what we've got going on. But not only that, but we've got other issues in the school district going on. So
we don't have anything in between that's the whole thing. If you have a disability, if you have even if somebody has a mental illness, we don't have anything here for those folks. Which is frightening. Yeah. So which brings up the question, if you have that situation, where do those people go? Because what happened was horrific, and that woman and her children will never get over it. I mean, things like that don't go away. It is horrible. But if you have somebody that doesn't understand what they're doing, and they can't be out and about, but is prison really the place for somebody like that? We don't have any kind of facility here, any kind of hospitals, any kind of treatment place. We have nothing. We have nothing here.
Let me say something, Jeff. Let me say something. When you look at this, I agree with what you're saying, Kathy, but this guy's got an attorney now. We really don't know. First of all, I agree with you. I've got a daughter, my wife, it scares the hell out of me. If this guy's got a problem, his attorney surely is going to have a psychiatric examination. And if the guy's really got problems where he can't control himself, then they're going to have to hospitalize him and send him to state institution or whatever.
But we don't even have a psychiatrist here that can do that. They have to make the appointment in Columbia, which is backed up. All right, so you've got somebody who is potentially disabled, okay? So say this person has the mind of an 8-year-old. They're sitting over there with criminals in lockup, in county lockup, awaiting a trip to Columbia for God knows how long, to be evaluated, for them to confirm what they may already know, or their family may already know, but they're just stuck. So that's the system is broken, man, because they, like I said, they don't have anybody here that can do it. They have to go to Columbia to be evaluated.
Well, I understand what you're saying about all that, and hearing that somebody may have mental issues and they may not. I'm different. I think differently. The boy committed the crime, whether he's mentally handicapped or not. Yeah. Jail's where he deserves. He tried to take a woman in front of her kids. It don't matter if he didn't understand what he was doing. He understood enough to try to get her pants down. He understands enough for that.
Or there
I don't
has to- or
have
there-
mercy
yeah.
for anybody that's attacking a woman or a child, and he's lucky that it wasn't men like me that come over to help. Now, because 8 years old, his mind or
if
not,
he was that
he'd be
dangerous,
beat.
why is he there by himself? Even his family, there should be school records, and I agree with you, Kathy.
Because there's no services here.
There's no
and
services.
once-
Absolutely.
There should be, but jail should be also there for the crime. He did do the crime, whether he understood it or not. So he should have to pay that
and
price.
that's
then
and
get
I
service.
agree that there needs to be something, but
Yeah.
there are no services here. And once you're 18,
Mhm.
your family can't do anything. They're like, if you look at what it takes to get guardianship over somebody,
Mhm.
that's another thing. The system is so broken, and it's very difficult. You have to be, which at this point they might be able to do. The guardianship may be easier because you have to be a danger to yourself or to others. Well,
So-
bingo, they might be able to do that now.
So let me ask you a question, Luke.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying, because I've got a wife and a daughter. Okay, now if I step back and look at it, if somebody like this, I understand where you're coming from because that's my first response. But if you figure out that this kid's got the mind of a 6-year-old and you're basically beating up on somebody like that, I mean, you wouldn't do that, would you?
If I saw a man with the mind of a
You
6-year-old,
would stop him, right?
Hold on, let me say what I'm going to say. If I saw a man that was mentally handicapped trying to take advantage of my wife, he's fixing to learn a hard lesson. Like a straight up man that's however age he is, I'll have no mercy for somebody that's sexually attacking anybody. There is zero mercy for me on that.
I would
Okay.
use just enough of force to subdue him,
Mhm.
to make sure that the threat goes away.
And you wouldn't even know that right away sometimes.
No,
I mean,
exactly.
if
What's
he's
your
been through a
adrenaline?
school
Yeah,
system.
you wouldn't know.
No, you're
No.
having to
You know.
do. You're having to make a conscientious opinion quickly for
Yeah.
safety of
You
your.
would stop him.
You would
You would
stop.
stop him.
would
But you got
stop.
to remember something. If he's got the mentality of a 6-year-old, you are literally dealing with a 6-year-old child. It just happens to be a bigger person.
But
Yeah.
how many
I
situations
think
like
that
So
if
we
you
don't know
knew
that.
that,
That happened to me, and I carry Chris. He doesn't get that chance to explain that to me.
Exactly.
Exactly.
'Cause I'm
And
gonna
that's
shoot
that's
him.
frightening as a parent, that's frightening too.
Mhm,
To
exactly.
think that your child,
Horrifying.
if you were that kid's mom,
Yes. Mhm.
they could have lost their kid the other day. If that woman had had a concealed weapons permit, they could have lost their kid.
exactly.
That's, which is horrific too.
There has
What
to be, if
happened
he's
was
18
horrific.
and he graduated, there should be work programs for that. I mean, the system is complete. Like
Well,
there has to be
the
something. for them.
system,
Yeah.
guys, everybody. The
Yeah.
system has fallen. It failed
Yeah.
years ago, and it's still falling. But again, the problem that we have with the kids now, you can't put the blame on all the kids.
Mm-mm.
You got to put the blame back where it belongs, and it goes back to their home life.
Mhm.
It goes back to their parents. These kids don't have a mother, or they don't have a father, or they have a father coming and going out of jail that's on drugs. The kids are exposed. It is
They have
very
teachers and coaches that are
well.
doing.
Get ready. We're going to
We're
get into
gonna
that.
hit that.
We're,
I mean-
we're getting there. It's just warming up.
You can
I just-
background check all you want.
I just hope if there is a situation here that I'm thankful too that this Good Samaritan was there, that there was witnesses around and the Good Samaritan stepped up. So ever who you are, thank you for doing what you did.
Mhm.
And these guys know, I don't know if I've told anybody else. I had a similar situation that happened at a local grocery store that I was involved in about 3 weeks ago. And I was behind this gentleman at a cash register at a local grocery store. And this gentleman became very abusive to the cashier. And it all started over, he was too lazy to enter in his telephone number over in the keypad.
Mhm.
And he started verbally assaulting this African-American young lady. Verbally assaulting her. But then it stepped and it crossed the line.
Mhm.
This gentleman called her the N-word and slapped her.
Oh, really?
Whoa.
My
That was a
instincts kicked in. My instincts kicked in, and I knocked him down. I knocked him to the ground and held him till sheriff's department could get there.
Well, good.
Good for you.
And they went and watched the video, and they didn't charge me. Of course, they arrested him, But it's just that instinct. You're seeing something. You see something helpless, and you want to do something. And if that had been my wife or had been my kid, I probably would have went. I would have got the situation under control. Protect the family, protect your people. But I hope, for the God's sakes, that there is something wrong with this gentleman.
So I want to correct this one thing. So, because you guys are, I think, getting the wrong impression. You look at this situation as by itself. The situation that happened on Aldi's, it was bad. They protected the woman the way it should be. Now you have the aftermath. The thing about it is, it's a very, very weird, odd situation that we don't understand. First of all, 4:30 in the afternoon in front of a bunch of people, that is way, you're gonna get the person out in the back somewhere or whatever. So when you look at something like this, you can't arbitrarily think that, okay, there's not something wrong with that person. And I'm not excusing it at all.
The fact, Chris, you're absolutely right. But in that moment in time, I don't know that guy. And
I'm not saying, Jennifer, I'm not saying stop. I'm not saying the guy to say stop. Let me see if you're good. All I'm saying is they stopped it, and now we got to figure out, maybe this guy's nuts. I'm just saying that's an alternative.
Oh yeah, he definitely needs help.
Well, this may have avoided that whole situation. He had to go through the school system. He had to go through encounters if he was having issues like that with either doctors or police or this, that, and the other in his past. So it should have been understood that this man's running at this level, and he should have been put in a situation to where he won't be out there turned loose. So he should have never been put in a situation to where he could do that if everybody already knows that ahead of time. And
is he homeless? Do we know if he's homeless or not?
We don't know anything.
I mean, he could be homeless living. There's that right there. They live in the woods back in there.
It's true.
I see him crossing out of the hospital. There's a heavy trail comes down off the edge of the hospital.
Exactly.
Parking lot.
We're just giving our opinion on what we know. I mean, there's obviously until we find
there's
out.
Lots of.
We can all say what we would do, but
like I said, I just think the whole story. There's more to it, and I'm going to lead to believe that there is something wrong. I hope to God, because if that's not the case, and he actually did this is evil.
Then he belongs in jail.
That's exactly right. Real quickly, I'm going to pass along. Morgan checks in, says, I see what Luke is saying, but there are people out there in need of medication. We know that. That's a given. There has to be a little understanding. Think about people with schizophrenia. You can't automatically assume that person is in control of themselves. And again, I'll bring this up real quick, and we're going to move on to our next story. But we see this time and time again with law enforcement. They're having a hard time now when they encounter people that particularly may have schizophrenia or having a mental crisis. This is happening, and it's just getting worse and worse. So there's got to be some checks and balances. And hopefully that, for the sake of the kid, I hope that there is an issue. I hope it's an environmental issue and not he did this on purpose.
Well, can I clarify?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
I understand exactly what they're saying, and I do agree with them. But the fact is that the mercy and the understanding comes in after the fact. It don't come in before the fact. You don't sit there when she's trying to be raped and they say, do you need some medicine? That's not
fine. That's not what we were saying, Luke.
The time right then is you are put to a stop, and I mean in a big hurry. And the fastest way to hurry is put somebody to sleep.
And I agreed with you on that. I'm not saying analyze the situation at the beginning.
Right. I'm not talking about what you said. I'm talking about there. So I do agree that there is the area for mercy, but I think that at the time being, they're not going to get any mercy from me. Then they can get it later on down the road from the doctors and people who will be able to help them.
Absolutely. Okay, let's see. You're going to check in with the great Lindsinator. Lindsay checks in, and she says he was not a gentleman. No, he's not a gentleman. We agree with that. We just, again, there's a whole lot of variables that we don't know. All right, we've got to take a break. And there's something tells me that when we come back from this break, something's going to happen. Have you heard anything about that, Chris? Something's going to happen when we come back from this break?
Oh, yes. I've got a job opportunity.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it really quick when you come back.
Okay. Yes. You've got a job opportunity, and I've got your music. So when we come back from the break after it, I'm going to play your song that you sent me today that you want to hear as we talk about your new job. Okay.
Thank you. Well, it's just an interview. It's just an interview.
Oh, it's just an interview. Okay. You got just an interview. Okay. All right. We're going to come right back in just a few moments here with more Let's Talk Oconee. We've got Luke and Jennifer Moore from More of the Story, Kathy and Chris Yerba, and we will come back here in just a moment right here on Let's Talk OconESC.com. Support for Sunny 107.9 WFBS and Lake Kiwi Radio Online comes from our friends at Twice a Town Tap Room, located in beautiful Salem, South Carolina. Cold beer and a family atmosphere. They're locally owned and operated, and they're glad to be investing in the town of Salem. They strive to be a premier hangout in the community and county, so whether you live in town, out of town, on the lakes, or in one of the local beautiful rivers, or you're just passing through, you're welcome. Come by and stop in and see the family-friendly tap room. Live music with jukeboxes, big screen TVs, and patio areas. Don't forget they have the beers on tap and wines, and their space is absolutely conveniently located to anywhere in Oconee County. Again, for more information about Twice a Tap Room, their website is twiceatowntaproom.com. That's twiceatowntaproom.com, and we're thankful to have those great folks sponsoring our radio station. Twice a Town Tap Room, located in beautiful downtown Salem on Main Street.
Seneca's Half Marathon and 5K is coming your way March the 11th. You still got plenty of time to go ahead and start training. If you'd like to do your first half marathon, it's going to be available for you March 11th, 2023, as we celebrate our sesquicentennial celebration all year long. It's called Race for the Green, and that means cash prizes in the overall half marathon, male and female, and half marathon Masters division, along with the 5K overall, male and female. Sign up today at runsignup.com. And like always, we've got great swag to give away. A beautiful beach towel this year, a trucker's hat, and sesquicentennial finishers medals in the half marathon and 5K, along with some great looking medals for the kids 12 and under fun run. Now, the fun run's basically a sprint. If you want to know more information, you can check our website at www.seneca.sc.us or Seneca SC Events on Facebook. It's Seneca's Race for the Green, March the 11th. Sign up today at runsignup.com and come celebrate with us as we enjoy our sesquicentennial celebration all year long with Race for the Green.
Let's Talk OconESC.com. We're also on social media and around the world. Good evening here on this Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, Kathy is in the bottom of the side of the screen now, and I have no idea what we're about to find out, but here comes Yerba. Oh, no. Oh, my God.
Now,
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Ruin, and I'm your puppet. What are you, Chris, can you explain
all right.
hell you do?
I'm retired and I answer to this dad the paper. And lo and behold, I found out through some sources, the guy that's interviewing me doesn't know I'm coming in, but I'm very interested. It was Penelope. And he needs a junior maitre d' at the next Freedom Caucus meeting. And it said, dress appropriately, as I do. And I think that would be fun, not to mention I could get some good intel. So I saw what he usually wear. I got my tie, and I got my red dickie, and I even got a new pair of shoes. I got my shoes, that match his. And I'm interviewing, and I hope we can put things aside so he can see that I'm professionally interested in this career as a maitre d' at the Pub Blue.
Well, Chris, I want to let you know that I have decided to retire your air horn because I have my own now. Mine's better than yours.
Well, it probably is, but I just hope if anybody gets a call and it's a reference for me, that you will please tell that I will be very professional as a junior maitre d' at Pub Blue.
All right. Well, here we go. Welcome back to Let's Talk Oconee SC. Next up on the item of our agenda here, and by the way, at least we have a quorum. We don't cancel our, we don't cancel our shows. Former school district Oconee County bus driver, of course, was charged back a couple of months ago with multiple sex crimes. Will stand trial in March, and I have to go on the record and say that this one here kind of hurts a little bit because I know this gentleman. When I was doing 2 years over for my retirement, for state retirement, I actually worked with this gentleman.
Wow.
And I know his family. This one really hurts a little bit. And Wendell Powell, of course, 75 of Seneca. Top of the trial docket, which is coming up beginning March the 6th, will be seen by Judge Scott Sprouse. And he was charged last May with the criminal solicitation of a minor, second-degree criminal conduct with a minor, and 2 counts of third-degree criminal sexual conduct with the minor. And, of course, he's on release a cash surety bond of $70,000. And, again, he could be facing a very lengthy stay in state prison if convicted, as each of the charges carry a significant sentence. According to South Carolina law, criminal solicitation of the minor can be punished with up to a 10-year prison sentence. Second degree can go up to 20 years, and a judge can sentence someone convicted of a third degree up to 15 years, according to the state code. And I don't thank Riley Morningstar for that news update there. I don't know what's going on. We go from this story to another story about this is a coach. This was an actual JV basketball coach, and he was a substitute teacher in the classroom as well.
Didn't they all involve this?
That was, yes, and some of it involved actually other things too. Now this one was just last Friday was arrested after authorities said he recorded. This one was the recording of the sexual acts between himself and a minor while he worked in the district. Marquise Hunter of West South 4th Street in Seneca was charged with 3 counts of first-degree sexual exploitation of a minor. And he was released on a $75,000 personal recognizance bond. And, of course, it took a school resource officer that was told by a district employee on January 12th that Hunter had an inappropriate relationship with a teenager. And that came from Jimmy Watt, who was spokesman for the Oconee County Sheriff's Office. During the course of the investigation, Watt said Sheriff's Office found Hunter had recorded 3 separate videos on his phone of sexual conduct between himself and a teenager. Now, the district said this Monday that Hunter was placed on leave on January 12th after the situation was reported, and staff started internal investigation and notified law enforcement then. Hunter was fired on January the 20th. Now, according to the record, he first worked for the district August the 10th of 2021 to May 24, 2022 as a substitute teacher. District records also says then as a classroom assistant from August 15th until he was fired. And Hunter also served as Seneca High School junior varsity basketball coach, taking over during the second half of the 2021 season, coaching until he was placed on leave. And, well, there we go. Here's, according to District Superintendent Michael Thorsland said in a statement, "I'm thankful to those involved who acted quickly to ensure the protection of our students. But yet, Superintendent, you never did anything about a rap song." I
was going to say that.
Keep going back to the same thing. And I hear, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Jennifer and Luke, you all have some interviews that's coming up in the next few weeks. You're going to be interviewing again, Dr. Thorsland, Hanvey, and, there's still some bus driver issues going on now with the school district, and it's even getting more involved. Again, here we go. The cycle just keeps on. When does it stop?
Well, we're not locked into just when we do these interviews. All your listeners, the interviews are not locked into just the bus situation. So all these things that are happening here, they can send us questions and we'll ask their questions for this stuff too. But wasn't it just like a year ago that the resource officer was busted for doing some kind of ring and he just got probation? Because I helped build that man's barn at his house when I was working for a company.
You're talking about the school resource officer in Fair Play.
So we have a tendency here in this county for some reason for there to be constant sexual problems between the adults and the kids at our schools. And now you think anybody who's looking at a child obviously has a mental issue, because that don't make no sense to nobody. But seriously, there's got to be something in the water around here. If you got adults beating each other up on the mountain, you got big people touching little people just all over the school system.
They're kidnapping.
Well, it's not just the school system though. You're from here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you remember back in, I guess it was the 80s or the 90s, we had a problem with the rec department, and someone that worked with the rec department up here in Walhalla had a problem touching people.
I do remember that, Kathy. I do remember.
Yes, and there's no telling how many ball players were victims of that, because not all of them told. So, it is a problem in our county. And I can tell you that out of my friends, out of my 4 close friends growing up here, 2 of them were molested by, family members. So those aren't good statistics, y'all.
It's not something just in this county. It's a society problem at this point because it's happening everywhere.
It's bad here. I mean, what is it?
I think what's happening here is the revolving door of no consequences. Just like the school resource officer. I'm not going to say his name. I mean, I thought he was friends. He was at the school dance where I was at with my child. And I was like, hey, this is my buddy, and I try to tell him, you can trust cops. They're good people, this, that, and the other. But now I'm telling him, maybe you can't. But the problem is there wasn't no consequences. So why would the next person not do it? If all you're going to get is probation, why not? It's worth the risk, apparently, to some people. There needs to be consequences for the drugs, for the child molestation, for stealing. I mean, we got a meth problem and a stealing problem around where I live.
And not just shuffling them around either, because that seems to be the case, where they're just shuffling them here or even from bus to bus or with the kids and the adults, the teachers.
Well, there's a culture issue too, because if and not to belabor the point, but Chris and I have talked about this extensively, and this is one of the things we talked about when we first met. The culture issue, like with the whole councilman thing, and it's not him specifically, but the idea that there were people coming out and defending them, saying this is a family issue.
Oh, yeah.
It should be quiet. And that's the way it is with the molestation thing around here too. People don't want to talk about it. And that was the whole thing with the whole rec department thing. People were so freaked out that their kids had somebody touch them because they were afraid that if they said anything, that somebody had touched their son, that people would talk about them like they were gay or something like that. Like that was the end of the freaking world. When no, your son's not gay. He was taken advantage of by an adult man. The man is the one with the problem. Your kid's not the one with the problem. You shouldn't
100%.
worry about pointing the finger and saying, this hideous man did this horrible thing to this kid. You should put the blame where the blame belongs and not and protect your child. You should be screaming it from the rooftops and trying to get some justice.
If you don't, you never break the cycle.
Yes.
Never. If it's in the family, you never break the, and these people are predators.
We have a lot of family around here, and the kids that grow up, I call it a generational curse, because that's exactly what it is. And very few of those kids that come up through bad homes actually break. There are a few. Now, there are a few great stories of where they broke that generational curse. But as I said earlier in the show, a lot of this goes back to the kids feel like they can trust something, and then it's all damaged for where these acts are happening, whether it be somebody in the school system or it's being family. And mentally, it's destroying these kids. Mentally, these kids are scarred for life.
Yeah.
Kathy brings up a good point. The kids don't have anywhere really they can go. We don't have. Sometimes I believe we turn the blind eye. I don't know if we do it, but I think there's a lot of areas that ain't happening here. We just turn the blind eye to it.
I think sometimes they don't know, even with the schools, they don't even know where to go. Everyone's just trying to save their own faction.
Yeah.
This happened to my daughter. This was 18 years ago, and she was in kindergarten. And this was in her school nap time, and there was a boy that was touching her. And it was finally brought to my attention when they were called saying, Mrs. Bell, please come here. The police are here. I had no idea what had happened. This kid had a club called the Blanket Club. And the school was they wouldn't tell me anything about this person or it's a small town too in New Jersey, but they were protecting him. They couldn't guarantee me that out of the 3 kindergarten classrooms, that when he did come back, that they weren't going to be in the same classroom again. They wouldn't even let the other parents know. I had to call every single person and let them have a dinner time conversation with their kids to say, hey, honey, did anybody, do you ever do this? I mean, and what those little kids were saying to my daughter on the bus, because I was up there making a stink saying, I'm going to get the news up here if you don't let these other parents know, because there was more girls that it was happening to. And it's not, he's a 6-7-year-old boy, but what are you watching at night that you know how to do that?
It's bad.
And then the school was just wanting to protect them and that family. They couldn't tell me anything. Like, hey, can you call DIFUS? Can you call somebody to see what's going on? because this isn't normal behavior. My kid doesn't, they don't watch stuff like that. They would never know that. And she didn't think anything was wrong with it.
It just seems like the kids know more now. And I'm just making an observation. Yeah. The kids know more now than I did at that age growing up.
100%.
Well, they know it because they see it. And if a child's being abusive, a lot of times it's because they're being abused. If they're bullying, it's because they're being bullied at home, because that's what they see, I mean,
and they're home by themselves.
It's terrible.
All right. Well, we have a couple of comments from someone that's playing Let's Talk Oconee SC. The OCC has it handled. Trust the OCC. We know who this is. And, of course, there's our cohort who is off this week. He says, hey, Rainey Bond. Hello, Rainey. All right. Are you ready for the good, juicy stuff?
Let's do it.
All right. First of all,
the crap at the fan.
Before I start, I am going to say that our thoughts and prayers go out to Don Mize.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And Don is not a part of any of this conversation that we're about to have. Mm-hmm. Don, again, our thoughts and prayers on losing your mom. I know that how tough it is. And as I reached out to Don earlier this week and offered my condolences to him and his family. And again, Don had every right not to be at a council meeting on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So, Don, you're free on this one. There's nothing we're going to talk about. But I do have an interesting. I really feel pretty heated about this. Just right after Don made the mention that he was not going to be at the county council meeting, interesting enough that Mr. Hart couldn't be there either. Does it not make you wonder why? I want to start with Luke and Jennifer first. Your comments. How you tell us how you really feel?
All right, I'll start that.
Okay.
First thing I want to say is Glenn is a personal friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I've known that man as far back as I can remember, and he's a good friend of mine and my family's.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say anything against him as a person.
Right.
But we are 100% on different sides of this whole Sewer South thing, and it is my personal opinion that what happened there was it stopped the quorum.
Mm-hmm.
And why would it have stopped the quorum?
Because you're going to get outvoted if it's 2-1.
We got to keep the stalemate.
And why would it have voted? Because you would have put people on commissions that the OCC doesn't want.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Jennifer?
A statement in the paper I wasn't too happy with. I just think it's just a bunch of playing games. I think it's to anyone that knows what's going on.
There was nothing of it. Let me read the quote. There was nothing of any importance for me to put myself out as far as my medical condition. Well, here's the issue. If you're having a medical condition,
mm-hmm.
and Luke, I feel the same way. I have known Glenn Hart all my life. My uncle and Glenn graduated Seneca High School together. So I've known Glenn forever and ever.
Glenn knows everybody.
Yeah, we all know.
Anybody who's been in this area long knows Glenn.
But I have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's as if, and I'll go on the limb and say this because I'm 100% right, that there was a phone call made from Mountain Rest
mm-hmm.
that was notifying Glenn that this needed to happen so that there wouldn't be a quorum. So
mm-hmm.
county business didn't go forward. And here's the question. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Now, see, I feel like that's probably 100% right. However, it's 100% speculation on my part, too.
Yep.
So that's why I don't say.
Well, they're leaving it at that, too.
Like
so if you say anything about it, they're going to say something that
I hope they do. I hope they do. I want to go. I hope they do. I'd like to see Penelope with his lips. I'd like to see that. I really would.
Yeah, they're
Hey, you're talking about my future employer. Come on.
But it's true. There is a game being played.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And if you all remember, Chris and Kathy, you two were witnesses, and I think I mentioned you, Luke, that I called this. Mm-hmm. I said this was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you did.
And I'm going to tell you, we're not done yet. I don't even know if we're going to have a budget.
I don't think so.
That's how serious I am. If
let me ask just one question, and then I'll back off.
Go ahead.
Luke, I understand what you said, that, hey, you knew him, blah, blah. And I know him. He's done some surveying. I think as a person, he's probably a good guy. But what's interesting is all three of you, and Kathy and myself, are immediately jumping to the conclusion that we don't know it, but we think that. And you know why? Because the trust has been broken with what Suspended, Durham, and Penelope have done. There's no trust. And that's why we're speculating, because we don't trust them.
I'm not speculating. I'm going on the record. I'm willing to bet my life tonight, as sure as the sun rises tomorrow, that's what happened.
But you get my point. You don't trust it.
Your point. There was a phone call made. Oh, y'all can't. Hey, Glenn, you can't go, because if you do, we'll stack the odds against it, and then they'll win.
I mean, they're making fools of us. I mean, this is stupid.
Mm-hmm. They think they think no one's going to say anything, and that's what they're hoping for. And as soon as you say something,
they were used to that too.
Them go off.
But they were used to that, Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
Chris is right. They were used to that. They were the ones that were used to, if I speak, people's going to listen because I am Matt Durham. I'm holier than thou. That was the mentality. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got that, and then you've got David Nix, and
you have the attacks, the bullying attacks.
It is 24 hours a day. They're just constantly on top of everything. They're just trying to be ahead of everything, and they do not want quorum. They would not let Don Mize, if he was there, to sit by himself. If Glenn couldn't be there,
I have
vice versa.
offered 3 times. Don, come on, you and me, one-on-one. Here's the microphone. And, again, his mother died. I understand that. He has a legitimate reason, and this is not the equation. But I want Don to come on, and I want him to tell the listeners, I want him to tell everybody that he's his own man, and he's going to vote the way that he feels his conscience, because right now it does not appear that way. And I want him to understand that the District 3 Senative they're not happy.
That's right.
I'm not even elected.
He told us that as well.
I'm not even elected. And I have my phone going off day and night from people. Jeff, what can we do? I'm not happy about this.
Nobody's happy about this.
Nobody's happy about anything that's going on. And Luke's right. I get calls every day.
You won't vote for anything else but Sewer South. Boom, you're ready to go.
Well, let me ask you this. How in the world? Now, we got it on video, just like Jennifer said.
Yep.
When we done both y'all's video at the same time.
Yep.
He said, I'm not beholden to anybody.
That's right.
I'm going to vote how I think.
That's right.
And it's going to upset some people. It don't matter.
Yeah.
But how in the world can they have went in there and both denied the same votes without having talked about that first?
Exactly. And here's a great thing when the first meeting of the year, this is just how they're not thinking. The keys to the kingdom was being handed to them. When the nomination for Glenn Hart came for chairman of the Oconee County Council, and they didn't vote. They just sit there with their arms folded. I'm sitting here thinking
somebody didn't tell them what to say.
No, they couldn't get that cell phone out in time to send that coming. They didn't see that coming. But they had the keys to the kingdom handed to them, and they did not take it.
Makes no sense whatsoever unless it's because Matt said, wait until I'm doing this.
Wouldn't matter.
That's the only thing that would make sense.
It wouldn't matter. Glenn would still have been the active chairman for the whole year.
Yes.
And if Matt came back, then they got the majority.
Yes.
And nothing would have mattered.
Or Matt just wanted it so bad. But I just can't understand why you're following this. I mean, he's suspended.
But
so Jeff,
go ahead.
Slap on the wrist.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Okay, so I want Jennifer, you just said something that was important. You said, I don't know how they're following this. I don't understand how anybody could follow this guy. And I'll tell you, there's a couple of reasons. When I talked about to this planning commission, and everybody immediately jumped my ass about zoning, and what I was pushing is, guys, we have infrastructure issues, and we're going to be just like Greenville. The only way you're going to get anything done, you'll never convince anybody, is to get an independent consultant in here that's going to tell you what the pain point is financially. That's how you do it. And then they blew it off. Amanda Brock blew it off. So they're following this guy who literally goes in front of a council as a suspended councilman and start talking weird shit about the communists, the socialists, and the globalists taking property. I listen to that and I think, well, where the hell is this like Mad Hatter's Tea Party? That is bizarre. And that person is controlling a council where you have companies that I can guarantee you, they don't want this crazy shit. That's risk.
It's all because
And I don't understand.
John Elliott. I mean, that's where
I think it's more Julian Davis they hate than John Elliott.
they just
at
want
this
to. They
point,
want
yeah.
a majority.
At this point,
now
at
that
this
they have
point,
John,
it's this point for the last 3 years that certain people have been involved in it. Well, basically ever since Matt Durham got elected.
Mhm.
Prior to that, there was a decent halfway relationship between Wayne McCall and the rest of the council. Now, Wayne in his own right was bizarre and strange anyway, but at least there was some sort of semblance of relationship. They could work. But ever since Matt came on and then everything happened with the implosion of the Republican Party, it's all been Julian Davis this.
yeah, Paul
Julian
Kane's
Davis,
gone.
Paul's gone, so you can't pick on Paul no more. And now, they're not going to pick on John Elliott right now because John's one of the 3 votes for the Golden the South project, Sewer
Mhm.
South. He's one of the 3.
Yep.
And for the life of me, I can't grasp the concept of why even John Elliott right now would have voted to move forward with this. Because again, now that we're going to move into Sewer South, which you knew it was coming,
Yep.
it makes no sense. But Monday, you guys, Jennifer and Luke, had the opportunity, and we've shared back and forth the videos. You had the opportunity to talk to the Joint Regional Water Sewer Authority and Chris Elzon over there. And Matt was there,
Mhm.
and the dirt digger was there.
Yes.
Explain how that all set up and go from that point forward. Of course, the booger picker was there as well.
Well, the way that happened is obviously there was a big stink made on the Fair
Right.
Play page.
Now, this
And
is
people-
a Facebook page for Fair Play that has information and
Yeah,
stuff.
there's
It's kind of like
2
a group
pages,
page.
yeah.
There's a Fair Play
Mhm.
South Carolina, and then there's this
Development thing where there's a master
Okay.
plan
Okay, all right.
So
for the Fair Play Village overlay, kind of like the same thing they're doing
Okay,
in QA.
okay.
So there was a whole lot of people just all of a sudden hearing about Sewer South and about what is this. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't have any clue of what it was, and it was the majority of the people on the page. I didn't see anybody hardly stepping in and saying, "Here it is, and here's the information." That didn't happen. So they all, like we do what we do, they send us their questions. I'm setting up a meeting still with Chris. I'm going to set up a meeting. He told me I could. And but these, I was able to go to that board meeting. Me and Jennifer was. She got there ahead of me, and she watched everybody come in and how that went down. But I went in there to ask their questions, and I realized as we're asking these questions and they're giving these answers, and I put them out on video, so
Right.
it ain't just what I'm saying. People can see what they say. I realized that they don't have a clue apparently what's in their own writing. Because when I asked them, I said, "You say that one of the big points is about people being grandfathered in if they have a septic tank." Well, that's exactly what they say. However, their paperwork in section 2.4 says you can't even maintain a septic tank. Hey, Rainey.
Yeah.
what's going on?
Give us just a few minutes. We're in the middle of something. Just bear with us. We want to get through this real quick. This is important stuff.
But yeah, their paperwork says you can't even maintain a septic tank. Now, maintaining, you gotta that leaves it open to somebody's idea of what maintaining means. Somebody making the definition. Does that mean you can't replace the drain field line?
Let me see. That would have been the septic system. That would have been 2.4 in the regulation, correct? Where
Yes.
that everybody has to hook up to it. Okay,
Yes.
got it. It's up on screen for everybody.
All right. So in that right there, when you look at it, it says the words you can't even maintain. But it also in that same section there says that no animal excrement can even be put on in an unsanitary manner on land under the OJRSA, under their jurisdiction.
It does say
Now,
that.
if they're putting this stuff out kind of in the farm country, what is the sanitary way for a cow?
Well, the last I heard, it's okay for a county councilman to go in the woods and use a bathroom.
Cow diapers.
Well, I'll take cow diapers.
Yeah, I guess that means we're going to have to put cow diapers.
Well, I'm going to tell you what.
Even with the GCCP, that being there, and that's being run and maintained for the last 9 years, so that doesn't go to crap.
It's not even. There's nothing. It ain't even graded. It needs to be graded. Well, there is a plan to grade it. I do know that.
There is a plan to do that, but they flat out said that the only thing was for the Welcome Center because they wanted to be offline.
Yep.
And they wanted to do that. And then when we asked them about Sanctuary Point,
the Poker Palace.
It was
they got quiet.
Well, it was more than that. From the papers that I had, it was a lot more than that.
But now we hear something a little different. Now we're hearing that we've got to go to exit 11.
From
We're going to take it from 4
to Townville
to exit 11 to Townville, which puts that sewer line deep into Anderson County, which means if we do.
Well, Jeff, Napoleon tried to take over the world once and over again with sewer.
Well,
thanks, Rady.
If they put that thing between 4 and 11, is Oconee going to profit any money off of that, or is Anderson?
Well, here's the deal. Don't you think you would have to form another regional joint water between Anderson and Oconee County?
That as well, or possibly extend the one that's there, if that's even possible.
But yeah, and that's the big push. The other thing, I want to read an email from someone that I received from Fairplay that lives in Fairplay, and the guy's name is Russ. Great guy. I grew up with him, know him very well. So I asked him in an email, I said, are you for or against Sewer South? I want you to listen to what he responds back to me and says. It's a complicated answers. I am for reasonable use of it. I'm not a fan of major expansion and heavy industry coming to my neighborhood. The Golden Corners Commerce Park is literally at the end of my road. I don't like the idea of existing homeowners being forced to connect if they can't get a waiver. I know we need some growth on our end of the county, but I don't think anyone in the Fairplay area wants a heavy industrial presence. So I asked him, I said, that's kind of what I thought that you would tell me. It's a common sense approach to this issue. And he says, listen to this. I am surprised at what I have learned about and Oconee politics lately. The OCC and OCRP, I thought Republicans were Republicans. It seems like both want to claim the title, but going in different directions. Now, this is just a common person that's married, has 3 children, works, goes to work, his wife. This is just an absolutely what we would say middle of the road, middle class America here, the hard worker. I don't know what to think or whose lead to follow at this point, but both sides have merit in their ideals. I'm just concerned. This is close to someone that I know that gets it. He's concerned. So if you've got this person feeling this way and the lack of amount of information that was flowed down in there for Fairplay people who really didn't even know there was a meeting back in June of 2022 too.
Yeah, I mean, how many people are in Fairplay? And they keep saying there was a meeting. So how many people were at these meetings? Because if there wasn't enough people in there, you can't just go onto the task force and say that all of Fairplay wants it.
No.
Well, they said that they wanted streetlights and sidewalks. They told Amanda that. She said it in a meeting.
I know. We saw that. But where was this? I mean, who are they? I mean, is this a meeting of 10 people?
It's a meeting.
It's
one. All of that, what y'all released today of the stakeholders. There is no legitimate people other than the ones that either have property or stay or gain something out of this that was involved in that meeting.
And then you have the people, once we just put out that, hey, this is going down there. Hey, if you feel that this isn't right, go to county council meeting, do what you have to do. But then you got Perry, Tony, Matt Dorm, everybody jumping on these people, trying to twist everything.
Doing exactly what people can't. They're tired.
This is good. You vote this way. You vote this way. Doing the same stuff that they've been doing from the get-go.
But Jeff, I want to make just a couple of comments.
Go ahead.
I don't want to stop what you're talking about.
No, go ahead, Chris, and then I'll come back to what I'm saying.
Okay, I want to tie into Jeff's point about OCC, OCRP, and then people talk about, well, you're a real conservative if you do this, or you're liberal if you can do that. This is a business decision that has to do with money that's impacting the community. We all want a community that's going to have better health care, some urbanization where we get more stores, restaurants, etc. So when I hear people talking about this, the OCC, like they talk about where they're throwing conservative in, that is smoke. That means shit. That doesn't mean anything, because at the end of the day, with Sewer South, I'm not opposed to it, and I'm not supporting it. All I want to know is if you're going to spend any money as a county, good governance requires you to articulate very clearly what are the benefits. Why are you doing the investment? You have all these consultants you're paying a shitload of money for to come in and give you costs and estimates. And I can't get one person that won't deflect when I ask them, what are the benefits? You say it brings jobs. That's crap. That's crap. There are companies.
Exactly.
There are companies that specialize in risk management that do the analysis, can tell you if it's a good investment. And the county will not spend that money, which is a hell of a lot less they're spending for the other people. And you know what? It doesn't matter whether you're a liberal or conservative. It doesn't mean anything. It's poor business. It's bullshit. Thank you.
They just have a right to say. You're saying it's a community. That is their. But they have a right to say what they want and if they're ready for it or not.
Well, we're not even in the area down there.
It's being pushed down their throats.
That's not a part of the commerce area of Oconee County. The commerce area of Oconee County is 123 Highway 11, because there's the technology park that handles the career center. You've got Tri-County Tech. You've got the other plant up there. And then just down the road, across 123, you have the other commerce park that has Live Tech, U.S. Engine Valve. And then you take the 123 corridor going to Westminster to Clemson. That is your business commerce in Oconee County. It's not the 4 miles coming into the interstate. That's never been the commerce point, the focal point of Fair Play. It's always been about the farming communities of that area. And then for 20-something years, y'all, we've heard this about Sanctuary Point.
Yep.
Over and over. Look, I've heard it at least 20-something years. It was like 10 years ago, oh, this is a done deal, it's coming. No, it's still down there. But why not? Why not take a look? You've got another major project that's getting ready to come right down here in Clemson called Greenpaw. That developer, Chris, get ready to jump in here because you and I had this conversation. That developer said he's willing to pay for the sewer.
Yep. Yes.
So here we go. We've got to go phase 2, and we don't know if we're going to take it to exit 4 or exit 2. So it's right there in the Y. If you go to exit 2 and then you start down, you have not even taken into account the tunneling under Lake Hartwell. And if history repeats itself and you take a look at what Duke Power just did up off Highway 188, it took them 3 different companies to come in and tunnel underneath Lake Kiwi. We're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars. Took them 3 different companies. Chris, what, about 2.5 years?
Yes.
They were supposed to have been done in about a year.
Every day I had to see it.
All right.
Hey, wait a minute. Jeff.
We've got something that just popped up, and I think we need to read this. Let me go ahead and get
Look
this.
At Kendall Williams, what he said.
Yeah, look at what Kendall Williams said first.
I will. Let me get Julian Davis has popped up here. If the landowners of Highway 11 are not going to tie into the sewer system, then why is there a need to run it there? Obviously, if sewer is run to an area, the goal is to get customers. Normally, we have a bird in the hand project when we have to run sewer. And for some reason, I can't see the rest. There it is. Obviously, if sewer is run to an area, the goal is to get customers. Normally, we have had a bird in the hand project when we have run the sewer. On my original votes in favor of sewer to exit 1, the state was paying the majority of the cost to get it to exit 1. I'm still in favor of sewer to the intersection of Fair Play Boulevard. I can be on board with that because it's not that far from the Golden Corners Commerce, just to bring it on down 59. I could be on board with that. Gaining those customers in need there, working alongside with landowners of Exit 4 that have actually agreed to put money in bringing sewer to the land that is ready for economic development. I'm not in favor of the spiral development of sewer that I feel like is being proposed. And that's exactly, that comes from Julian Davis.
Okay, so Jeff, I want to interject on two things. If Kendall's talking about repair of the infrastructure, we have the roads, the short arm. Okay, he's talking about roads, but he's also talking about sewer. Exactly what we talked in the last show. And here's the other thing. We're hearing this. We don't have any benefits. We have 59 and 85 that's already got several hundreds of acres. We spent millions on. We don't have anything there. So I look at that and I said, you guys do not have a track record that you can run on. You want to spend millions and millions of dollars, and you will not tell us what lessons you've learned from spending millions of dollars to develop 59 and fair play that everybody wants to forget. Are we going to make it an amusement park? What is it going to be? It's nothing. It was a waste of money.
It's going to be traffic.
Yeah, Fair Play Forge.
Well, exactly.
Well, they just want a blank check. Just give me the check, and I'm telling you it's going to work.
What's the push?
We've done that before.
That means that there's something not right.
Yeah, well, it's pump and dump.
All right, well, I'd like to
go ahead, Luke.
Say something here. Kendall is right, and I want all the listeners. I'm gonna kind of come at this from a little bit of a different angle. Okay. We all understand the numbers. Now, here's the problem. We got two sides of this thing. Some people want it, some people don't. You got a Oconee County conservatives saying that this is the thing, and we got all the landowners saying no, it ain't. Okay, what is conservative? Conservative is you take care of what you have and you set yourself up to where that is maintained in a good way before you bring more burden onto it. If you can't keep it up as is now, you can't keep it up with more industry coming. Not only that, it is not conservative to spend money before you understand where that money's coming from. That is not a conservative stance. I don't care who's saying it. So all the listeners, the people who come across this and think about this, two things. You got the OCC saying that this is the best thing since sliced bread. And I am not against Sewer South, but I am against Sewer South being paid for by a question mark. I'm against Sewer South being put in a place to where it's going to destroy the only agricultural area that Oconee has. Now, if we're all for property rights, they would not be supporting this and saying that people's going to have to hook up to it. That's not conservative. So the infrastructure, Kendall is exactly right. We need to take, if we took that same money, turn around, put it on our roads and on our sewer and on our water lines, it's busting all over Westminster.
Yes.
Now, that right there is a conservative move.
Okay, let me read Luke, I want to add on to what you're saying. I want to read something. Matthew-Durham.com. Philosophy. 3 core principles. I use 3 core principles when making decision on votes. Number 1, does it increase taxes? Number 2, does it increase the size or power of government? And number 3, does it infringe on personal liberty or property rights?
And this is 100% against those.
If the answer is yes to any of the above, then I will vote no. Now,
well, thing is, he don't get a vote.
Oh, he does.
He gets a vote.
He gets 2 right now.
He gets 2 right now. I mean,
okay,
seriously.
So Luke was talking about a conservative. Okay, so let me give you an example. I'm a moderate Democrat. Okay, but it really has nothing to do with being a moderate or has to do with conservative or liberal. I'm a business guy, and when you're telling me somebody, not you, but when they're telling me that they're going to spend millions of dollars, the first thing I would say is, well, first of all, you're giving me a projection on cost. But the problem is you're not giving me anything of the benefits for spending that money. That's a business decision. And when you look at property rights, yeah, well, I'm all about property rights. I think people overdo it in this county because when I look at it, property rights in this county means I'll do whatever the hell I want. I don't care about overloading the infrastructure. And I got a planning commission that has developers coming in here approving things that they don't even know if it can be handled by the infrastructure. So my liberal innings is, why in the hell don't we do proper planning so we have seniors and these other people that can't afford it that are going to lose their homes when infrastructure fails like it's doing in Greenville, and these poor people are put out. That's not liberal. That's empathy.
Chris, I want to share something that
conservative stance is what it is.
Doc and Leslie has sent in to us this evening on our message board here. I've lived here all my life. I'm a fourth generation, 2 Fairplay area, South Union area, and I had just learned about it not long ago. I think that we should use the Commerce Park. We should do the agritourism. We should fix the roads. We should fix things that are wrong before we start looking into Sewer South and all of this stuff that some of these people on this development board I've never even heard of, and I've been here all my life, and they have secret meetings, and that is off-putting to most of the people in this area, and they changed the Fair Play logo that was voted on years ago. I do remember this. That is not something with most people here. I do remember the change.
Oh, and that's great. That is a great post.
That's exactly. And these are comments coming from people. This is what we know. But again, when we put this out, this is tonight, I guarantee you this show, the Durham, the Nixes, and the Smiths, get ready. It's going to be attacked in 3 different ways. We put this information out.
Absolutely.
Because they don't.
They've said all this stuff on the sites, and they just come up there and they just push their, they're not even listening to.
They're not.
They don't even live there.
No, they don't.
No,
they have they have not one thing.
And that's a great point. Do you remember watching the video where Amanda Brock admitted that the push for the sewer is coming from a lot of folks who don't live here? Did you catch that?
I know.
The push for the sewer is coming from people who own property, but they don't live here.
Yeah,
and
Kathy.
I thought that was very telling.
Yes.
Because it's not coming from people. And then she turned around and said, no, they want this. They want the sidewalks and everything. But then said,
well,
no,
let them pay for it. Shit, I don't want to pay for their damn stuff.
Mostly people who don't live here full time.
If that's the case.
They have vacation houses here.
If that's the case.
So which is it?
Well, do you have sidewalks, Chris?
No. But he should. He's a global elitist. BD.
Hold on. He's a global elitist who has a more.
Who is?
You.
Chris is and has a more conservative view than the OCC right now.
I know. And interesting.
That's not conservative. That's just business.
Business runs on a conservative stance.
I hope at one day here in the next few weeks, I really want to tell another side of this, but I'm keeping my mouth shut right now. There's somebody else involved in this that's in play. That there was a meeting that was held last Friday amongst some people. And at some point soon, I'm going to release who was involved, but there's somebody else bigger.
Oh, you're giving them a lot to do.
I know. There's somebody else bigger. Everywhere. There's somebody else bigger involved in all of this.
You can't hide that crap from Jeff. He knows everybody.
And I know this happened. And my problem is I really want to say it, but I'm going to hold back. Because I think that this right here would be the game changer. And I'm not going to say anything until I feel like that it's time to say, but there's a push from a certain level of getting this done down in the South part for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Tony is going.
Tony's gonna have a heart attack.
Tony has no clue. Well, he really does if he'll stop.
The booger eater doesn't?
I'm telling you. He know. I mean,
they're all fixing to be just like how they gonna respond to this?
They can't respond to it because it's gonna blow. It will blow everything out of the water. But there's another person that's involved in all of this that they have no clue,
and they gotta stay tuned.
And it's gonna blow them all away because they're not. They have no knowledge of what I have and what I know. You know, if they had been nice and they treated me with respect, you know, this might have been a different ballgame. But there is somebody else that they have no clue who is behind all of this. They think that they're leading the charge in the force. I got
pawns.
news. They're just the pawns. They're playing into someone
Yeah.
else's hands.
Mhm.
They're being used to their advantage.
There's
and
people out there watching them just as much.
Just as much. And
Is it a Democrat? Is it
No,
a Democrat, Jeff?
it's definitely
Well, that's what we need.
It's definitely not a
Sanity.
Democrat. But I'm just telling you, there is a whole lot more going on than Matt Durham knows, that David Nix knows. And the thing of it is, I'm sitting on it. I know the names. I know what happened last Friday. They have no clue what happened. But I do know what happened. And I'm well aware of who's pushing the driving force. It's not the OCC. They're just the pawns in the game. But I'm going to sit back and I'm going to mind my own business. I'm going to hold my hands up and I'm just going to sit here, because when this all implodes and it all comes out, get ready to read a Rambling Post, because it's going to blow him away, because he ain't going to be able to handle it.
It's going to be quiet for a couple of days.
He might take a hiatus for a little bit and then come back and regroup.
But I know what I'm talking about, and I know who's spearheading it. And they have no clue. They're just not even comprehending that there's somebody else driving it.
It's because it's all about them.
It's all about them.
They
If
have
they
to
would
be
stop and smell the weed that growing in at Fair Play, then they might get it. All right, real quickly, it's 11 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock Thursday evening. And Dawkins posted again. I want to go back to this comment. A lot of us locals was going to the council meeting I was going to speak about. Imagine that. We knew that.
Definitely
And
come.
I'm not going to push around, I guess. I'll be a thorn in their side, but I've been letting people know about all this, and they had no idea, but people are waking up. And again, it's going to
Good work.
Come to that meeting on the 23rd, because it's gonna be a big one.
Wait, the 23rd of February?
Yes.
Yeah.
And one more thing that I want to say.
What meeting? The council meeting?
County Council.
Yeah, County Council is going to be on the 23rd.
One more thing I want to say to all the listeners in Oconee County, whether you're in Fair Play or not, needs to understand something. This is going to affect everybody, because your taxes,
Yes, it is.
said your taxes will be subsidized this thing until it's up and running, and they don't have a customer outside the Welcome Center. But I want everybody to understand that we're in construction, okay? Our bread and butter is development. It is in my best financial interest to push this thing through and watch it happen, because guess what? I'm going to make money. And there's a lot of people just like me. I want people to understand, especially all you in Fair Play, but all you outside there who says it ain't going to affect the farms, here it comes. From a construction man, as soon as y'all let this happen, as soon as y'all allow this to happen by not coming and saying something and not calling Glenn Hart repeatedly, as soon as you let it happen, the sharks and the other people just like me are going to come. And when we do, we're coming for the farmland to buy it and to develop it and to make our money off of your ignorance for allowing it to happen. If you allow this to happen, the development is coming. I mean, they'll throw stupid money at you. They will. But once it's gone, it never comes back to agriculture. Your farmland your family had for all these years is gone, and it'll never be seen
over.
again.
Hey,
Once the sewer comes,
You go look at take a field trip to York County. Take a field trip one day to about three and a half hour drive. Take you a field trip down to York County. About 35 years ago, York County was filled with all sorts of farms, soybean, cotton, all kinds of stuff. Now there ain't none of that. There's none of that. You can't hardly have a small farm or anything, because there's apartment complexes, golf courses,
which
shopping
brings
malls,
in what?
strip malls.
Brings in zoning, the thing the OCC says they don't want. As soon as you get a whole bunch of people out there, guess what? The bunch of people that's got them new houses ain't gonna like to smell that chicken manure being spread next door.
Yeah, baby.
My friends up in Jersey, we putting these videos out, and they're like, "You don't have sewer?"
Yeah, but property rights, man. Property rights. We do whatever we want.
The property rights are about to go out the window if you allow this.
Well, you know, I mean,
it's gonna kill property.
Sounds like we need some master planning that's common sense.
I'm just going to say this. We don't have farms. We have weekend farmers.
Oh, yes.
Sundown.
Sundown. We don't have farmers. We have weekend farmers.
That don't even make enough to pay a car payment. Now, don't tell me that's not condescending. Don't tell me that's not condescending.
We come back on Thursdays. We go every Thursday to Anderson, and we come back that way. And that was just There are huge farms out through there. That was the most ridiculous statement I have ever heard in my life.
Well, what the hell?
It's stupidity talking around here, right? I'll tell
You're
you
talking about somebody that won't even give us benefits for spending money, So, hey, Jeff, are we going to go around and we get last words?
Yeah, I'm going to give last words. I'm going to start with you, Chris, since you seem to take up the air. Let's start with you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. Luke said it best. What's happening is the sharks are coming. So everybody that wants to sit here and believe what these guys are telling them, when they cannot even articulate clearly what benefits it's going to bring to the county, what that means is there's just money going out the window with nothing coming back at you. And every single taxpayer is going to get hit. And you got to remember one last thing, and it's a good thing we're not on TV. All I ask is usually somebody's going to kiss me before they screw me. And this time it's just going to happen.
I saw somebody had their lips pursed up ready to kiss me.
But I don't care because I'm going to be a junior maitre d'.
All right, Kathy, you're up next, and then I'll come over to our side.
Well, just like I said, if we're going to finish up talking about sewer, take a field trip, start looking around. I mean, go look at some place like Athens, Georgia. Go look at York County, South Carolina, and see what you think about how it's all grown up. Because you're exactly right. Once it is not farming land anymore, it ain't coming back.
That's true.
Hope you like your strip malls and all that kind of stuff.
Did you say strip clubs or strip malls?
Strip both.
Both. Hey, Livonia had Club Risque at one time. That Livonia was the hottest thing on the interstate. So maybe we need a
it's both. and they're wanting all this industry to come, and they don't know why we're not getting industry. Maybe they should look in the mirror, because I'm gonna tell you right now, if I had a huge business, I would be looking at the infrastructure, and I would be looking at the county government. And if they had some of the stuff going on in county government that we have going on, I would go to the next county too.
Exactly.
All right, first up, Jennifer on our side.
Good job. Applause.
Well, I was going to say two things to keep it short, give it to Luke, but we did find out that Chris is a conservative.
Yes,
he might be a
really
financial conservative, but that'll just burn Nick's
Not
up.
socially.
Really
I'm wild. I'm wild. Hey,
Anything.
check my T-shirt out. Look at my T-shirt.
Coffin, not the Rona. Get just a stoner.
And I just hope people do wake up and just realize this whole mess, and knowing that the OCC, they don't know that there was two factions in the Republican Party, but the OCC is not the OCRP. If they would have just drew that line and did their things, we wouldn't be in this mess. But
it is what it is. Luke, you're up next.
All right. I just want all the listeners out there to listen and understand that you got two sides of this thing. You got OCC and you got everybody else. I am one of the 7 founding members of the OCC, and I'm not there. As a matter of fact, I think 5 of the 7 are not there. Mm-hmm. But
you should ask yourself.
People need to understand you're being sold snake oil. Now, you think about this for yourself. Now, our Republican creed says we stand to think for ourselves. Is it conservative to spend money that you do not know where it's coming from or how much it's going to be? Is it conservative to not speak to the people that you represent and then just go and vote it on through any house when they're screaming and trying to get your attention? Is it conservative to develop farmland? Is it conservative to know that when that happens, it's going to be developed around it? And when it's developed around it, zoning naturally will come. Now, if you are for property rights, you are not for having anything forced on a homeowner. And when their rule is, and this is how it is in the paper, they can say whatever they want to, but in that paper, in that document, it says, if you're within 300 foot of that line and you need a septic tank, you're not going to get the permit. You're going to have to hook up unless they give you a waiver. How are they going to force the landowner that's between the person whose boundary is 300 foot away and the sewer to give that land to be dug up by the person that they're in between the sewer and that homeowner? How are they going to force
Let
these
alone
people?
The cost.
Yeah, you know what they're going to do? They're going to, like they did back in the 30s and 40s. They dig a hole in a pit and they dump it and cover it up, and move to the next hole.
Well, here's the thing though. They can, if Jeff is if your house is 300, your line is 300 foot away from the sewer, and my land is between you and the sewer. How are they going to force you to hook up without taking mine away from me?
They can't.
They can't.
They can't.
But why is it in the? Every one of them said it in our videos.
That's right.
They can't enforce their own rules. Their rules they just laughed at. Said this don't make sense. We've not been enforcing it. But I'm a businessman, and I understand that if you put that on paper and it gets passed through, it can be enforced, whether it has been or has not been.
That's right.
I agree 100%. And that was just puzzling when that statement was made by Chris Easler. Is that his last name? Chris
Eliezer, I think.
Eliezer. Chris Eliezer. When he said that, I'm thinking, whoa, wait a minute here. You mean to tell me if it's just because it's in there, you can't enforce it?
No, if it's
why are we
written,
this close?
If it's written,
why are we this close and we're seeing all these problems in the paperwork?
Well,
that means
because they're going to get rushed.
Did anybody ask the question? Has anybody hooked up to the current sewer down there now? That stops at the Golden Corners Commerce Park.
Not that we're aware of. They said they go down and put water in it once a month just so that it don't
They
ruin.
said that they've had to replace 2 crucial components to it
at the rate of 14,000.
Again, I'll leave you. Get ready to leave with this.
14,000. Is that what you said?
No, that wasn't. It was for the year, I think.
I thought
that you said they go every week and they just make sure that. But they
included
did
2 parts, and it was 14,000 for the year plus with those 2 parts, and just going down once a month and filling it up with water.
Mm-hmm.
Holy
so
cow!
We're paying.
That's a great investment.
So 9 years we've been paying for somebody to go once a month and fill the sewer up.
That's about
water
right.
in the sewer.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's
and it
really
took
good.
them about a year and a half. I want to say about a year and a half, 2 years to finish the project.
And that place ain't made $1. So why in the world would 2 miles away it just be making everybody rich?
It behooves me. But you did mention something that I kind of like. You talked about snake oil.
Yep.
You know, Steve Earle had a song one time, and it was called Snake Oil. The official theme song of Let's Talk Oconee.
There's a lot of salesmen.
Oh, boy.
Well, it's actually a small
group.
They just loud. They just a loud little group.
I know. Luke and Jennifer, thank you for pitch hitting for Randy Bond.
Thanks for having us.
I appreciate that. You can check out more to the story. You can check it on their Facebook page. If not, you can watch it on ours. We share it a lot because, we're in this together. We're getting out the information, and we're working hard to make sure that you are in the know, kind of like what we do here every Thursday. Yerba, you're looking good these days. I'll see you.
Thank you.
Kathy, as always, thank you for the conversation, and we will see you.
Thanks for having me.
As always, don't forget Saturday morning, you can join us at 7:30 on Let's Talk Oconee SC. And I want to say good night to Matt Durham, whatever you're doing, because I know that you're going to critique this show. And you, my friend, are our #1 fan. We love you, Matt.
Thanks for the newsletter.
Thanks for the newsletter. See y'all next week. Have a great one. Bye-bye. Chris, Kathy, y'all hang on. I'll be right back with you.
Well, your crops are burning, don't rain, so